Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Welcome to Employee Resources Credit Union, where you're more than just a number, you're family. We provide financial solutions that rise above those of traditional banks. With roots stretching back to 1964, we've served 4 generations during constant industry changes. We're known for our low fees and incredible rates. Join us and experience the credit union difference. ERCU, not for profit, for service.
Comprehensive care with a compassionate touch. That will always be the guarantee at Encompass Healthcare in Etheridge, Tennessee. Whether you're looking for primary or urgent care, x-ray services, or weight loss treatments, the team at Encompass is equipped to serve your needs today. The doors are open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5 and from 8 to noon on Fridays. Make an appointment with providers Kendra Brown, Tori Cox, or Ellie Brown today. That's Encompass Healthcare, located on Highway 43 North in Etheridge, next door to Chapman.
For decades, First Class Charter has provided high-quality motor coach transportation services to the Tennessee Valley. With numerous safety and cleanliness accreditations, First Class Charter is ready to make your group trip a reality. Contact us today by visiting firstclasscharter.net. First Class Charter, the official motor coach company of the North Alabama Lions.
Flooring sets the tone throughout your home.
For flooring that makes the right first impression, start by choosing us, Floored by Justin.
A one-stop flooring destination. Our new location stands alone for unequaled customer service and selection. Owner Justin Story's mastery of custom hardwood inlays means every room can have a custom look. Discover how the right choice of hardwood, laminate, carpet, or tile can set the tone in your home. Contact Floored by Justin today.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody here to X Sports Today, the football preview. We get you ready for everything going down. Week 7 in college football, week number 6 in the NFL. But first, Mike, I know it's a football show, but we got to talk some baseball.
Let's do it.
Let's get into the game that everyone's talking about. Of course, I'm talking about my boys, the Cubs, whipping up on the Brewers. Actually, we'll get into that later. Let's talk about what happened in Los Angeles last night. Extra innings, 1-1. Good pitching, good defense, some timely hitting, and then next thing you know, we get bases loaded, 2 outs, a squibber back to the pitcher, and I'll just let you take it from there.
It was – I don't know the exact situation because I was calling a game at the time. Were the bases loaded?
They were. 2 outs.
And there was 2 outs, and he goes home.
And the whole time, his catcher, JT Realmuto, was going this.
Who is an all-star, all-pro.
Yeah.
You
can see him. He's going one.
Oh, it just kind of leaves you speechless. But, Philly had every moment in the world to win the game. I know everybody's putting it on Kerkering there, the closer, but Trey Turner, 0 for 5. Kyle Schwarber, 1 for 5. Harper goes 0 for 4 with I think he reached on an error or a walk, 1. But those are your 3 big bats that you're looking for, and they batted 222, 171, and 235 in the playoffs. That's not going to get it done. And when I said going into the series that I thought Philly was going to have the bats to do it, they didn't show up.
Well, that's the thing. I've listened to a lot of New York and Philadelphia radio clips on my long drives, which I've made a lot, and I'm going to make another one tonight. And you brought up the point every single one of them bringing up. Harper, Schwarber. You can put Castellanos, Trey Turner, Marsh, Baum, that whole bunch.
Yes.
The pitching has not been bad for Philly. Actually, it's been pretty decent. But your big bats did not show up. Did you know that the Phillies are 3-0 in playoff games at Bryce Harper homers?
Well.
And similarly, when he was in Washington. I think they lost 1 playoff game in which he homered. So basically, it's one of those, if he goes, they go. Only problem is Bryce Harper rarely goes in the playoffs.
Yeah, I about to say, he's one of those, he can have big moments, but it feels like they almost come in bunches, so to speak. It's like, here's all of it right here, and then nothing else the rest of the time. Because honestly, if you look at his postseason numbers from the past couple of years, you really only see all his highlights. That is all that he is doing. And again, he wasn't able to do that. I'm really confused at the decision to keep playing Brandon Marsh over Harrison Bader, because Bader has been a solid bat and a really good defender his entire time
and
up.
A decent base runner.
Yeah, and that was one thing Philly struggled with, and they left Marsh out there batting under 100 in the postseason. And again, I think that them having to sit at home and wait while the Dodgers got to play some, while it wasn't against a crazy good team in the Reds, they got to play those games and build them up to where they are now.
And that's two late game situations that they fumbled. Game two, when you make that big comeback, and then it's either you can say it's bad execution, bad managerial decisions. You can go all across the road. What happened there late, and then this one's just a simple, I don't want to dive deep into my thoughts and where I think the game is going, where it's staying away from, that's a fundamental play. You don't have to throw it home. It's the easiest throw to make, but you got a slow guy going the first. Even if you bobble it 10 times, a good throw gets him out by a foot or two, probably more. It's just simple stuff. Everyone talks about throwing velocity and hitting the ball, and everyone wants to wear the chains and do all the stupid hand motions. No. You know what wins world championships? You know what makes you millions of dollars? Base running, defense. The simple things. Because, you make more money when you win championships. You get more opportunities. You get more jobs. You're easily picked up as a free agent when you win championships. Yeah. You got to make championship plays. That's one of them. And the Phillies in Game 2 and in Game 4 did not make championship plays.
Yeah, after the base running blunder in the ninth there, or eighth of the ninth in Game 2 against the Dodgers, that was kind of the moment where they lost the series there. There was just the mental errors that they were making. It's not one that a championship team makes, and especially a team as good as the Dodgers. I mean, you can afford to mess up against maybe the Reds or maybe even the Cubs or the Padres a little bit. You cannot fumble the ball a bit against the Dodgers, and they showed you why.
Yep, so the Dodgers are going to be waiting on Game 5 between the Cubs and the Brewers, and the Cubs just great start. Boyd, who really struggled in the postseason, his first two starts against San Diego and against Milwaukee, came out, was great right from the get-go, mowing down guys. Then the rest of the bullpen, Palencia, on down the line,
Pomeranz,
Keller, the kind of the go-tos. Those guys have been great. Then the Cubs have scored in this series 11 runs in the first inning, and they're 2-2. They've scored 11 runs, but they're all what the Phillies were not getting. The Cubs are getting. Kyle Tucker homered last night. Ian Happ homered last night. PCA got on base. Nico Horner is getting on base at a record clip for the Cubs right now. So their pitching, which has been pretty decent, is coming together. Again, the Cubs defensively do not beat themselves. They've had one error in 7 games in the postseason so far. They got a couple stolen bases. They got going. And the Brewers, who were as far as offensively goes, is way back half of the league. And all their offensive metrics, these last couple games, that's shown that weakness that they do not have big bats that get big hits.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Yelich was big in the first couple of games, Churio Contreras, but I mean, they got shut down. I mean, props to Matthew Boyd, able to come back and make a good start, because you look at Game 1, and it was Freddie Peralta was awesome, and Matthew Boyd had a game that he would like to forget. Then you flip that last night. The Cubs were able to get off to a hot start. Michael Busch is now, I think I read something in his, I think it's 6 playoff games. He is now 7th all-time in Cubs postseason home runs, because he has just been going on a tear. But getting Kyle Tucker to get hits. I mean, obviously we know how good of a bat Nico Horner has. If you can get Ian Happ and PCA and even Dansby Swanson, I know he didn't have a hit last night, but getting those guys on base helps so much, and then it builds confidence for that rotation.
And their at-bats have been so much better. They've worked more walks. They've been more patient. They're not chasing as much as they used to. They're not chasing the high fastballs and the crap in the dirt. But the series has switched back to Milwaukee, where that, more than likely it's looking like Shota Umaga back on the mound. When Umaga started last time was a bullpen game for the Brewers. They might do that again.
It will probably be.
But I've noticed this watching a lot of playoff baseball. The more, and you can say the same for the Cubs too, because they keep throwing the same guys out there. The more that you throw the same guys at the lineup day in and day out, the Cubs are starting to get used to all those Milwaukee guys, and some of those guys, the Ashbys in the world. That the more they throw them out there, the more the barrels are finding baseballs.
Yeah, and Aaron Ashby will probably go out and throw 30 pitches again tonight because that dude just has an arm made of steel. But yeah, and I've started to notice that for the Cubs, the guys like Ashby and stuff like that. Even some of the even Peralta, it was his second start out there. He got shelled.
Yeah.
With it going back to Milwaukee, obviously the Brewers looked really good in those 2 games in Milwaukee. But, it kind of flipped, and the Cubs looked really good in those 2 games in Chicago. So I'm really curious as to who this one favors. Obviously, you would think that it has to go slightly towards Chicago just because they've won the last 2. But Milwaukee's looked so good at home that it's hard to pick against them, especially with Imanaga back on the mound. He got hit really hard his last time up. If he can keep the long ball out of it, I think the Cubs have a really good shot.
We do have a Game 5 tonight. The Tigers at the Mariners, and that should be a lot of fun. Skubal on the mound going up against Kirby. So the Tigers getting the race, getting the potential Cy Young Award winner out there with their season on the line in this one.
Well, there's nobody else you would want on the mound right here than Tarek Skubal. George Kirby is a valuable arm for the Mariners as well, but Skubal has been so good in the postseason, and I think that continues tonight. And it's going to sound funny, but I think we're having the Tigers and the Blue Jays playing for the AL pennant.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Let's get into college football here. We've started all the midweek madness. The MAC hasn't started on Tuesday, but Conference USA is playing these Wednesday and Thursday games, and they've been very busy in those so far. Tulane got a win in East Carolina, so Tulane maybe starting to separate them. They're kind of coming to that Navy, North Texas, Memphis bunch. And speaking of South Florida, North Texas, a big one tonight there. North Texas, 2.5 point favorites in that game against South Florida.
Yeah, that is a huge one. I am pumped up for it. Obviously, I'm not going to get to watch it live, but I honestly might DVR it and watch it later just because I think this is going to be a great game. You got 2 high-powered offenses, 2 young head coaches that are probably going to be coaching at Power 4 programs next year. And this is honestly a kind of a first-round preliminary match for who the Group of 5 playoff contender is going to be. Yes. And I think with North Texas, they've sold out their ball field for, I believe, the first time ever. And you got a ranked South Florida team coming in. The American is putting on really great matchups week after week this year.
Absolutely, and the bottom's starting to separate each other there from the top, and it's looking pretty good right now. It really is looking pretty good, and this is going to be, they're eventually going to run into each other, and this is a good way to separate themselves. You got Rutgers and Washington. It's at Washington. Those two kind of fighting to be at the top of Tier 2 in the Big Ten right now. And then Fresno State and Colorado State. Fresno State might be one of the better ones there in the Mountain West, so that should be interesting. Let's go to Saturday, big noon. That's another big one for Illinois.
Yeah.
They've already beaten USC in this spot. Now they got Ohio State coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think this is an important one for Illinois, not necessarily to win, but to keep close because, and linger in the back of everybody's mind, and I know you're thinking about it too, that 53-point loss to Indiana. How do you bounce back from that?
Beat number one.
Beat number one. Yeah, you get the Illa Buck trophy back, the wooden turtle. I don't know why they decided on a turtle between these two teams,
I love it though.
But it's a great story.
The better, right?
Yeah, a wooden turtle that's going to have a score inscribed on it. Hey, these two teams haven't played in 8 years.
Right.
I think it's a fun matchup. And listen, Illinois has won some weird games against Ohio State before, and I think they got the team to do it. Luke Altmaier has been awesome this year, and Ohio State really hasn't been pushed to this point yet. I think that this could be one where if they don't watch out, they could get punched in the mouth.
Right now, Ohio State 14.5 point favorites. I think Illinois covers that.
100%. Yes.
And I think this is a one possession. I mean one possession, 3 or 4 point game, because Ohio State, though they look great at Washington, they only scored 24 points. Illinois played a pretty high-powered offense, and USC contained it, didn't shut it down by any stretch of the imagination.
But to some degree, they scored most of their points in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So,
and we've seen Ohio State struggle on the road in smaller-ish places like this. So this is going to be pretty interesting. Then another one, the 11 a.m. slate's pretty packed here.
It's got some good ones.
Got some good ones. Bama at Missouri. Bama coming off that big win against Georgia, big wins against Georgia and Vandy back-to-back. Now you get Missouri, and this is a different test. This is the first. Missouri has not left Missouri.
Nope.
At all this season. We're in October. They haven't left Missouri. And Bama's had a lot of tests so far. This is the first big one for Missouri.
Yeah, I think this one is really interesting because you mentioned it. Missouri really hasn't played anybody yet. The Central Arkansas and the UMasses and the Louisianas, the Kansases. and that conference win over South Carolina, those aren't really impressive in the scheme that some of Alabama's wins like are against Georgia and Vanderbilt. But you look, okay, Alabama, they come out of the bye week, you beat Georgia.
Right.
Emotional game. One you had circled from last year. You beat Vanderbilt, an emotional game you have circled from last year. Look who Alabama's playing in 2 weeks.
Right.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
This has trap game written all over it. Missouri's defense leaves some concerns, but when you have a guy that's almost got 800 rushing yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns through 5 games, I think that gives you a little bit of fear. I like Missouri in this one. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I think they with Bo Prabula and what they do, and plus, how many times have we seen really good teams go into that place and struggle?
Oh yeah, I mean Tennessee.
It's happened a lot.
Well, Tennessee, it happened a couple of years ago. I think it was 11 versus 12 or something like that. And Tennessee was an 8 or 9 point favorite on the road. Went there, got smacked. Cody Schrader had over 300 yards, and I think Hardy and the guys like that for Missouri are that caliber team again. And I think that Alabama is a really good opportunity for Missouri to try to make their case for the playoff.
Absolutely, and if Missouri can win this, I mean, it only strengthens it for Bama. But if Missouri can win this, wow! Because they've got some more tests. I mean, every team in the SEC does. But if they can, get a win here, that certainly heightens now everyone's on. What's the word I'm trying? Everyone's on alert, high alert, I guess you could say.
Well, and that is, kind of curious for Alabama because if they lose this game to Missouri, they have 2 losses on the year. They probably can afford maybe one more, but they played Tennessee, at South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn down the stretch. Eastern Illinois in there as well, but that's an FCS team. So, but they really are only allowed to fumble one more time after that. So this is a very big game for Alabama. I'm hoping they don't sleepwalk their way through it, but because if they do, Missouri's going to punch them in the mouth.
Absolutely, yeah. Neither team can afford to get off to a bad start in this one. In the Big 12, again, one to look out for. You got Cincinnati and UCF. Cincinnati's playing great right now. Again, that one loss, that opening week at Arrowhead against Nebraska, when the whole place was basically it was basically a Nebraska home game. That's going to be a tough one. Cincinnati 10.5-point favorites. UCF can be good, but they're still trying to figure things out. I think Cincinnati's at just a much better place.
Yeah, I would say I've said on my Mark My Words show this past week and a half that UCF is a good quarterback away from being good. They just don't have good quarterback play. They can run the ball with the best teams in the country. They're up there with Cincinnati and some of the best in their conference at running the ball, but they don't have a quarterback. They can get it out to guys in open space. That's what Cincinnati does have. They got Brendan Sorsby, and with him and their 2 running backs, that's 3 guys that are almost over 300 yards each on the season. They're one of the best rushing teams in the country. And I think a team that plays in a sort of offense like that, it favors Cincinnati at home in this one.
Yeah, Pitt at Florida State. Florida State coming off a really tough loss to Miami, their first league, actually their second league loss. So they're sitting at 2 losses on the year, 10.5-point favorites against Pitt. Pitt had a freshman quarterback last week, got pushed into the starting job. All he did was throw for over 340 yards and play great in a good win against Boston College.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I had read the report that Narduzzi had elected to bench Holstein and start Heinstuhl. And like you said, went out there, and it was against Boston College, but still, it's against a team when a guy getting his first start goes out 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Can't ask for much better than that. So he's playing good heading into Tallahassee. Florida State suffered a big loss at home, but they played well at the end of that game. We'll see if that can carry forward into Saturday morning.
Let's go to that 2:33, 4-ish slate. One a lot of people got their eyes on, Oklahoma and Texas, Red River Shootout. It's not at noon this year, at 11 our time. It's a 2:30 game, but a lot riding on it. No Mateer for Oklahoma. Texas is
something.
And they're a team. They're a football team. They got helmets and uniforms. That's about all we know because you don't know what team's going to roll out. They got Oklahoma a 1.5 favorite, so it's pretty much a push. Total points 45.5. But the Cotton Bowl points, great. That's one of my bucket list games to go to at some point. But I just don't have a good read because Oklahoma doesn't have Mateer, and Texas doesn't really have anything that they do that's good or great. They're average at a lot of things except for the defensive line.
Yeah, I really do think this is an interesting one because Mateer has been upgraded from questionable to probable, which is incredibly stupid.
I wouldn't start him.
I would not play him one bit because I think Oklahoma can afford to drop this game. Because if you want to get Mateer back, get him to 100%, and then let him win you those big games down the stretch. You have a sort of I don't want to call it necessarily a break because it's the SEC, but your next two games are Texas and South Carolina, and that's 2 more weeks to get out from that surgery. But Saturday morning he'll be 17 days removed from that surgery on his thumb in his throwing hand. I mean, I just think this is a terrible spot for Oklahoma, and it feels weird to say that, but if you throw Mateer out there, Texas is going to just try to rough him up as much as they can, get him out of there, because they know that if Michael Hawkins is the starter, they can beat him.
Right, absolutely. So again, it feels like a toss-up game, but we don't even know what Arch Manning's going to do.
Nope, he could throw 3 picks and Oklahoma win by 4 touchdowns. It very well could happen.
He hasn't proven against Power 4 competition that he can carve up a defense. And then on top of it, I've heard a lot of people say, and I've seen it for myself, this receiving core cannot get separation. They don't run good routes, and average defenses contain them pretty good. Problem is, they haven't really played in the Power 4 wise. They've played nothing but good defenses, and they've shut them down.
Yeah, and I think that is a very interesting thing, because Oklahoma is a defense-first kind of team that's got a good secondary. Brent Venables is a great coach. Texas needs to find a way to run the ball again. You have a great running back in Wisner that was almost 1,100-yard rusher last year, comes back and is doing nothing pretty much. I get he's been banged up along with C.J. Baxter, but you feel like Texas, it's their run game that really opens up all these fancy motions and pass plays and stuff like that, and they haven't been able to get it going to open that offense up.
Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 14.5-point favorites. If Virginia Tech would have won last week against Wake Forest, I would think they would cover here, but I just think they're just so much of a mess, and Georgia Tech is starting to feel themselves pretty good. They have a very good identity. I think they covered. Yeah,
and they come out of Georgia Tech coming out of a bye allows Haynes King to rest for a little bit, because he gets banged up every week. So I think this one favors Georgia Tech big time.
Yeah. NC State at Notre Dame. You don't know which NC State team they can beat Virginia, or it could be the lose to Virginia Tech bunch. Notre Dame 22.5-point favorites.
Yeah, that line's jumped even since my show. It was 20.5, I believe, and now up to 23.5 here on DraftKings. So I think this is a good opportunity for Notre Dame to prove their defense once more, because they looked rough to start the season, but the past 2 weeks have looked really good against Arkansas and Boise State. I think an opportunity against an NC State team with C.J. Bailey has a little bit of a turnover issue. I think is a good opportunity for Notre Dame to make another stand with their defense, get to 4-2 on the season, but I don't think they'll cover that 23.5.
Iowa State at Colorado. They're giving the Cyclones 2.5 in that game. I guess ever since the Cincinnati game, they don't have much faith in them right now.
And they didn't really have much faith in them before that. Cincinnati was favored initially in that game too. Colorado has had 2 straight weeks where they've gotten a 2-score lead and blown it, and they have had trouble with quarterback play with Caden Salter. I guess Vegas just did what the AP poll did, and Iowa State lost, and they just completely disregard them. But I think Iowa State wins this one probably pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. An underrated game on the slate, not between ranked teams, but Nebraska and Maryland. I'm cramping. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is another game I'm really excited about too. This is two, I'd say, sort of youngish quarterbacks with Dylan Raiola and Malik Washington. I think they're putting a little too much pressure on Washington as a freshman. I think this one favors Nebraska, especially Maryland, that tough loss last week at home to Washington.
They're 6.5-point favorites. I'm so sorry. Oh, my gosh. I thought I stretched after the run. I'm drinking water, and it just, that just shot up through me. But, yeah, that's a sneaky one. Now, Nebraska needs that. They're 6.5-point favorites here. If they want to kind of make that case, because they've got – I think every game on their schedule is winnable.
Yes.
I think they've got the Ohio States and the Penn States of the world. Let's take a quick peek here at the schedule. Well, they got Penn State and Iowa there at the end. If they can beat Maryland here and USC, every game on here is winnable for Nebraska.
Yeah, I think their 2 biggest tests are Maryland and USC. I think Penn State's probably going to have fallen off the map by that point. I'm really not looking forward to how their season ends. But I think this is set up for a really sneaky Nebraska team to have a chance to come out of nowhere, because, again, only 1 loss.
And that Cincinnati game is looking better and better.
Yes,
Another game
is.
in that slate, I know your eyes are all over this one. Arkansas at Tennessee. Tennessee, 11.5-point favorites in that game, but Arkansas with Petrino leading it. But it's I thought, I'm like, after UCLA beat Penn State, I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh,
this has that written all over.
However, it's the offensive coordinator. I know he's fired the defensive coordinators. It's still the same personnel. I don't think they're going to do much that's going to surprise Tennessee.
Yeah, well, you look at last year. It was won by Arkansas's defense / Tennessee poor quarterback play. But you look at
someone else's problem.
Exactly. Now you look at Tennessee. The quarterback play is night and day different. The defense for Arkansas has taken a huge step back. I mean, you get beat by 43 points at home to Notre Dame. That's not good. So I like Tennessee in this one. They've gotten some guys back defensively. Still no Jermon McCoy, but hopefully they can get him back in the next couple of weeks. But for Arkansas, I mean, you got guys in press conferences saying, I see a lot of holes in their defense. You're one to talk.
Exactly.
I mean,
the 60 to Notre Dame.
Yeah, the over under is 68.5, and I mean, I'd take the over if it was set at 80.5.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a ton of points scored in this one, but I like Tennessee. I think they'll get just enough stops to keep Arkansas at bay.
The big one in that time slot, Mike, 7th ranked Indiana at 3rd ranked Oregon. The Ducks, 7.5-point favorites, total points 53.5. Not much faith from anybody that Indiana has I guess 7.5 is a prayer.
Other than me, I am huge.
I've got faith in them.
I'm huge on them right here.
I'm not saying they win. I definitely think they cover. I think this could be a 1 to 2.3, kind of that one.
That Ohio State game from last year with Oregon. Yeah, right. I have that one written all over this one as well. And I've kind of taken a look back at Oregon, and we look at their one win that's a big one, was at Penn State, and that is now a 6-point win on the road against an unranked team.
Yeah.
So that is Oregon's win that has catapulted them to number 3 in the country. Indiana, has looked really good in every game but Iowa. But Iowa is going to force everyone to play terribly just because of how their pace of play is. I think that Oregon might be a bit overrated, and I think this one is Indiana's to lose. I really do feel that way. I like Mendoza. I like Surratt. I like some of their running backs and more of their receivers. I think this is a ton of talent on offense. Can their defense get enough stops for them?
I think they clear the over because this has got shootout written all over it. Going to the night games, Florida at A&M. A&M 7.5-point favorites, total points 47.5. Take the under total points and I'm taking Florida to cover. That game.
Yeah, I agree with you that they should cover, but you look at what Florida did last week. They got that win against Texas, which at the time looked like a big win. Now we don't know if Texas looks very good. But you look at the Florida team from last year. They got that big win. Can they capitalize off of it? Because I don't think I think they would love nothing more than to go on the road and stun Texas A&M, especially after what they did to them last year. But you look at Florida, and I think their offense that has struggled had their best game last week against what we thought was a good Texas defense. Lagway looked good. Jaden Ball, their running backs. Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, those guys out wide looked really good. I think this is an opportunity for Florida to make another statement, which I think is scary for everyone around the SEC because everyone had kind of looked back at their schedules and marked that Florida one as a win. You might need to take another look at it.
Absolutely. Big 12, you got Kansas and 9th-ranked Texas Tech. 14.5, total points 58.5. I think they both cover that one, but I think Texas Tech is looking like the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Kansas has a really good offense, but I don't think that defense can hold up to anything Texas Tech does.
Yeah, and I feel the exact same way. I know Jalen Daniels is going to throw for a ton of yards, and so is Baron Morton. This one's going to have a ton of points in it, but I just don't think Kansas is going to be able to keep up, and Texas Tech loves to force a couple turnovers in there, and that was really how they've looked so good against teams like Utah and Houston.
Yeah. Go back to the SEC. Georgia at Auburn. Georgia 3.5-point favorites in this game. Total points 46.5. Give me the under in total points. But I think Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns. But Auburn hasn't proven to me. I know they play better at home, and this is a traditional rival, but I don't know. That offense is just not good, and Georgia's just going to do enough to win and win comfortably here.
And I would agree with you from the simple fact that it's Georgia versus Auburn. And I've watched both these teams a couple of times this year. Georgia has not looked good in SEC play. Even that win last week against Kentucky, their offense did not show much of anything, and your team threw 2 interceptions. So I like Auburn. This is my upset pick of the week.
Okay.
Nothing tells me that Auburn should win this game.
Yeah.
They've looked terrible. They want to bench their quarterback, fire their coach.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Give me all. And they have too much talent on the outside to lose this game. I just feel like it's at Jordan-Hare. It's at Knott. Weird things tend to happen there. Yeah. Give me Auburn.
Michigan and USC. USC 2.5-point favorites in this game, but Michigan's just way too much built like Illinois, and I think USC really struggles with that. I think Michigan's going to. The road doesn't seem to affect them. They've already got a really good win in Nebraska. I think they go in and they win comfortably. But total points 56.5. I think you got to take the under.
Yeah. And see, I'm actually going to negate everything you just said. I'm big on USC in this one. I love them at home because you don't look at USC as having a crazy home field advantage, but when there is a big game happening at the Coliseum, they pack it out pretty well, and I think you bringing in a brand as big as Michigan, that should do just that. And I think this is the moment that USC is going to take and jump some of their guys like Maava into the Heisman race. Because if his numbers are absurd, they just don't have a good win to kind of catapult him into that. I think Michigan's the game they do it against because I just don't think they have enough in their passing game to keep up with USC.
I just don't trust Lincoln Riley, and LA fans can be very passive.
Well, they got rid of Alex Grinch, so I feel good about a little better about USC's defense.
South Carolina at LSU. LSU 9.5-point favorites. Total points 44.5 in that one.
I don't know what to feel about this one, but
I don't either. But something's telling me South Carolina is going to cover.
Yeah, and I have them covering as well. I'm not sure about a win, but LSU, Caden Durham's not going to be at 100%. That's your leading rusher. Yeah. You take that out, that forces you to be a passing team when you have a quarterback that is not at 100%. Anyway, health-wise, doesn't matter what way you look at it. And I think that puts a lot of stress on your defense once again, who has been keeping you in these games week after week. I think Lenore Sellers has a big game, and I'm not sure if South Carolina wins it, but I think they cover it, making another classic like last year.
BYU at Arizona. Cougars 1.5 favorite, 46.5. I like Arizona in this one. It's at home. BYU got a little bit beat up last week against West Virginia. Arizona actually runs the ball pretty well. I think West Virginia kind of exposed a little bit of BYU's offense and defense. If BYU hits big plays, I think they win and they win comfortably. But if you got to force them to go inch by inch, yard by yard, I think Arizona's got a good chance to win here.
Well, it's not like Arizona has a tough home field advantage or anything, but I think this is a trap game. You look at BYU's schedule next week; they got the Holy War next week against Utah. Yeah. I think it is very easy to look over and despite being 4-1, an unranked Arizona team that in their one game that they had on prime time with Iowa State, they looked terrible. Yeah. I think this is a big opportunity for Arizona. I think they're going to get it done. I think that you're going to see the inexperience from Bachmeier and some of the younger guys for BYU rear its ugly head in this one. Give me the Wildcats.
Final one in the Big 12, Arizona State ranked 21st. They're at Utah. Utah is an 8.5-point favorite in this game, which I'm kind of I keep up with the Big 12 pretty well. Yeah. I was really shocked when I looked at that number.
Well, most of it is because it doesn't look like Sam Leavitt's going to play for Arizona State. Looks like they're going to have to go with the transfer quarterback Jeff Sims. Yeah. So that changes things up for now it makes sense. That changes things up big time. But Arizona State has really been at their best when they're running the ball effectively. Yeah. If Sims can hit 5 or 6 plays to Jordan Tyson and let him kind of stretch the field a little bit to keep that run game open, I think Arizona State has a chance, but I like Utah in this one as well.
All right, Mike, if you guys want to jump on some planes here, we've got a bunch of games on the slate that you can get into for $8.
Oh, wow.
So Rutgers of Washington you can get in for $8. That game is tonight. Stanford at SMU, that's an $8 game that you can get into. And Wake Forest at Oregon State. So if you want to make a West Coast road trip and not spend a ton of money,
Corvallis seems like a cool place to go. Yeah. I've never been there before. Yeah, Pacific Northwest.
When the team's playing good, they're not. Yeah. The crowd seems like a pretty good fan base. Well, Mike, coming up next, we're going to go over to the world of the NFL. That will be when we return here on X Sports Today.
Are you looking for a non-factory job environment? Livingstone Freight Solutions is a 3PL company that began managing warehouses in Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. With our multiple shifts and experienced management team, our goal is to give you as an employee a safe family work environment and competitive wages. We offer a wide variety of employment opportunities from forklift drivers to management level positions. We also strive to offer a competitive benefit package and PTO options. For more information or to apply, visit us at livingstonefs.com or give us a call at 931-269-3255.
Why should you bank with Employee Resources Credit Union? We offer a wealth of services, including mobile banking, video banking, bill pay, and more. We also offer loan rates that are lower than those of our competitors. Employee Resources Credit Union has been a financial pillar since 1964, providing long-time support to members of the community. Join us and become part of the ERCU commitment, not for profit, for service.
Being raised in Tennessee, we believe in the importance of family and community. Creating a positive experience at our family-owned and operated business is one of the ways we share that belief.
Being in an accident can be extremely stressful. When it came time for my repairs, Mashburn's made it easy.
I am lucky to have a wonderful company in my community like Mashburn's Collision Center. It's reassuring to know that I'm in good hands because their work is second to none.
We pride ourselves that the Mashburn name is one of the most trusted in Lawrence County since 1981. Mashburn's Collision Center. Let our family take care of yours.
Shop McMaster's Home Gallery for furniture, appliances, and more. And shop quality, shop convenience, shop service, shop local. A family-owned business with a long history of serving the region. We're a one-stop home furnishings destination. We feature brands you know, competitively priced, backed by professional installation and service. You can trust that we'll take good care of you before and after the sale. For your home, shop smart. Shop McMaster's Home Gallery today.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back here to X Sports Today. AJ Good here with Michael Marks in our football preview. We talked about college football, we talked about the NFL. Already got one game in the books last night, and the Giants, man, when they win big. They beat a good Chargers team and then beat the defending Super Bowl champions and really kind of dominated there in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying to you during the break, Drew Brees said it best on Get Up this morning that the Eagles' offense is boring and he doesn't like to watch it. I mean, it's the tush push and then a bunch of other stuff, and you only see the highlights of the tush push and Saquon Barkley jumping over people. But for the most part, their offense is bland. I mean, it's good for Dallas Goedert if you're a fantasy tight end. It's always good to have an Eagles tight end because Jalen Hurts likes to throw to him. But other than that, I mean, it really feels like they have no semblance of offense because you have so many great receivers: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and now someone went out.
Yeah.
I mean that shows probably a little more negligence on the front office and what they've tried to put together.
I think teams are starting. The Broncos exposed it a bit last week. The defense, and then the Giants just 100% took advantage of everything the Broncos exposed last week, scoring 34 points. Jackson Dart's a real deal, and once they got the running game going, their defense, the Giants' defense is actually not bad.
Yeah, no.
And when you get an offense that can actually move the ball, this team can look pretty good. I mean, they're not out of any race by any stretch of the imagination here, especially because they've now proven they can beat good teams.
Yeah, because you look at 21-6 against the Commanders, 22-9 against the Chiefs. That's the offense not putting up points because you're still running Russell Wilson out there. I mean, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterby have been awesome. I mean, their numbers aren't anything gaudy. Now, Scatterby was awesome last night, but they're doing just enough to get it done, and they've become a really fun team to watch. Going back and looking at the Eagles' schedule, though, 4-point win over the Cowboys, 3-point win over the Chiefs, 7-point win over the Rams. That was a last-second block touchdown, so a 1-point win over the Rams, 6 points against the Buccaneers, and then they've lost their last two to the Broncos and Giants. Yeah. This team isn't the same team as last year that was blowing everybody out by 20 points.
Yeah, well, it's just like anything else. You got to evolve with the game. And the Eagles are just going to try to get it within a yard on 3rd and 4th down and do the tush push. And when teams force them in 3rd and long and 4th and
they
long,
can't do anything.
They can't do anything because, Jalen Hurts had 283 yards last night, but he's not a good pocket passer.
No.
He wasn't in college. He was great on the run, and he's great when he uses his legs to make plays. But if you're going to rely on this guy to make plays from the pocket, you're only going to score 17 points a game, and your defense is going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, and that's another thing is everybody's talking about how good their defense is. Well, it's hard to be good when you're out there the entire game.
Right, 100%. Some of the other matchups, we got another morning overseas from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Jets and Denver. Denver 6.5-point favorites there. Jets haven't won a game yet. They've been close on a couple of occasions, but poor Aaron Glenn. He inherited something that would insult the dumpster, like calling what they are a dumpster fire is an insult to dumpster fires.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him. I I liked them last week against the Cowboys before the game because a 2-point loss, 6-point loss here. But when they're going up against good teams, they have struggled mightily. Right. And I think the Broncos, despite being 3-2, their last 2 wins have looked really good, especially against the Eagles, and then just shutting down the Bengals offense. Even though without Joe Burrow, that's still an amazing feat.
Arizona and Indianapolis, Colts 6.5-point favorites there, and Arizona's a hot mess. I mean, I think it's been proven at this point Kyler Murray's just not a good NFL quarterback. He's had a couple good moments. He can make some plays with his legs. Very Jalen Hurts-esque. If you ask him to make a play from the pocket, he just ain't going to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Caleb Williams. Look at Baker Mayfield's a rare example of it not hurting them. But these Lincoln Riley quarterbacks, I hear all the things about him being a QB guru, and
Baker didn't really make it work till he got to Tampa.
Exactly. Yeah. So
and he's still saying the same BS that he says everywhere else, which is why he'll never win the big game. Did I say that out loud?
I like the Colts in this one. If you lose to the Titans, you blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter to the Titans. You didn't just lose.
And you made your coach so mad he hit the guy.
Which, you have a coach getting fined for pretty much fighting a player.
The running back should pay him $100,000
for what he just
so stupid. Exactly. Chargers at Miami. Miami's won back-to-back games. I'm not saying they figured anything out. No, they lost to Carolina.
It was a close one.
They've won a game.
And almost won another one.
They almost won another. Now the Chargers are coming there. They're only 3.5-point favorites. At this point, we don't know what Chargers team's going to show up, and I don't know if Harbaugh still has that magic. If you lose this game at Miami, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
Harbaugh can't go back to college.
No, I would say he is. Yeah, he's pretty much exiled from college football, and it's going to be tough for the Chargers because the best way to beat a team like Miami is to beat them up front. Well, Joe Alt's out, and Trey Pipkins, 2 of your big offensive linemen, so. I'm not saying the Dolphins get this one, but I think it's a really, really close game.
New England at New Orleans now. New England is starting. That was a huge win on Monday in Buffalo, and they're starting to figure some things out. They're 3.5-point favorites here. I think they kind of go in there and win. I don't want to say comfortably would be 8-9 points.
Yeah,
2 scores.
Yeah, I think it's probably around maybe a 10-point game. But Drake May looked awesome last week, and Hunter Henry. They're figuring out pieces of this Patriots offense. I like the Patriots to get to 4-2, and what a job Mike Vrabel's done in year one. Getting close to already doubling their win total from last year.
Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Steelers 6.5-point favorites there. Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel, a second career start, but going to Acrisure Heinz Field, Renegade playing. I think the defense, this is his first real welcome to the NFL moment, and now you got the Steelers in that fan base. This isn't going to be a good mix for Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, this one, it kind of angers me looking at the Browns because they had just traded Joe Flacco a week before this game, a big game, and you throw I get, Dylan Gabriel's like 24 because he was in college for forever, but you throw a rookie out there in a moment like this and against a rabid fan base like the Steelers have, it's going to be his second career start, and he's still not going to have a career win after Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Dallas and Carolina. Dallas 3.5-point favorites, but we've seen teams go into Carolina and come out with losses, and this might happen again.
Yeah,
Dallas does not have a good history, no matter who it is, of playing well in Carolina.
Yeah, the Panthers are one of the weirdest teams in the NFL this year because we saw that 30-0 win against the Falcons, and then they go on the road and lose by 30 to the Patriots the week after. So you really don't know what Panthers team you're going to get based on the way their schedule staggered with wins and losses. It looks like they'll probably lose this one, but. You can never tell because the Cowboys are another one of those teams that, boy, if they had a defense, they would be undefeated right now, and they don't have one.
Seattle at Jacksonville. They're giving the Seahawks 1.5 here against the Jaguars, but it is in Jacksonville, and this is a much better Jaguar team. I think Vegas might be giving Seattle the edge because the offense is putting up a lot of points.
Well, this is a very pro-Jaguars program right here, so I'm all in on them. I'm all in on them right now. I think that we've seen the Seahawks take a step back offensively, losing Ryan Grubb to Alabama, so I think we're going to keep seeing Darnold kind of slowly progress backwards. And I think Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kenneth Walker are 2 really good young pieces on this Seahawks team, but they're going to need a little more help than that to beat this Jacksonville squad.
The Rams at the Ravens. Rams 7.5-point favorites here. I think it's going to be worse than that.
Yeah. The Ravens don't have a defense, and they're it's just injury issues all over the field, and they've struggled with that too. So, I mean, this one just has LA written all over it, especially with it being an early game. Just go over there, get the win, and you'll be home for supper.
Titans at the Raiders at 3:05 our time. Raiders 3.5-point favorites. Our lowest total points at 41.5. Take the under. And I mean, this is going to be a blooper reel of a football game because neither of these two teams are good, and they need acts of God just to win, just like what happened in Arizona.
Yeah, you look at their ratings and things per game, and they're 30 and 31 and 32 in them. So these are not very good football teams. I think coaching is going to make a difference. I think Pete Carroll's got the edge over Brian Callahan because even though they got the win last week, it's still the Titans. They would find a way to not to blow this one if they had a chance in it. But they looked really good on the road out west last week. Maybe they can make it 2 in a row.
Cincinnati at Green Bay. It's our highest point spread. Green Bay 14.5-point favorites. Green Bay's not bad. They've kind of fallen off the top of the top tier a little bit, but Cincinnati is in a free-for-all right now.
Yeah, Cincinnati is not looking good. They're last in total yards per game, and they're last in points allowed. So their defense isn't giving them much help. Their offense can't get anything going. 228 yards a game. That's how much they're getting as a team. That's not going to get it done. They've tried to trade for Joe Flacco. Maybe he can pull another miracle out and beat Green Bay for a second time this year. I just don't see any way that can happen. I get the Packers haven't looked invincible this year, but they haven't looked great either.
San Francisco at Tampa Bay, 325. Tampa Bay, 3.5-point favorites. I don't know where San Francisco's going to be injury-wise, but you certainly can't count San Francisco out, and this could go down to the wire there, certainly.
And funny enough, the Buccaneers have been another team that has been banged up and been playing well despite of it. They're not going to have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or Bucky Irving. I mean, that almost just sounds like a 49ers injury report. Hey, all your best players are out. Now go play a football game. I think these are two teams in very similar spots with scrappy young quarterbacks, scrappy coaches, and two teams that are just praying they can keep a good record until their actual team gets back healthy.
And then you look at the nightcap on Sunday, Detroit at Kansas City. Kansas City 2.5-point favorites over there.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the Chiefs in this one. Detroit's looked really good this season. And these teams have put up some classics the past couple of years, but my problem with the Chiefs is I don't know if they can put up enough points to stay in this one. Their defense is going to be good, but I don't know if it's going to keep the lines under 30. And we've only seen the Chiefs put up more than 30 once this year, and that was against the Ravens.
And you go to Monday, Buffalo at Atlanta. Buffalo 4.5-point favorites, and I like Buffalo in this one. Atlanta's just so unpredictable, and I don't know, there's something about they just never play good at home.
Yeah, the Falcons, I feel like anytime they're not playing at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whatever at home, that they just don't have a good feel for games. So I like the Bills in this one Monday night. Too much inconsistency on that Falcons offense with the amount of talent they have.
And then other game on Monday, Chicago at Washington. Very intriguing. The Commanders 4.5-point favorites, and Chicago's kind of starting to figure a few things out, but Washington's doing the same thing.
Yeah, back-to-back wins for the Bears leading into that bye week last week, but Washington sort of in a similar boat, coming off a win. They've gone win-loss, win-loss, win. So the way their schedule's going, it looks like the Bears have a good chance in this one. But these are two good teams with two young quarterbacks. But it's going to be whichever one is figuring it out quicker that's going to get that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that will do it for our pregame show for college, and the NFL here, and getting you ready. Week number 7 in college football, week number 6 in the NFL. So for Michael Marks, this is AJ Good here on the X Sports Network. We will see you guys next week.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X